I've been in Frappe for a year, and the the Frappe culture is unique. It's um, it's quite different from what I've seen in the other organizations where I've worked in the past. There's a lot of freedom and trust entrusted upon the employees, um, and that has its pluses. It has its minuses as well. Just like pretty much everything in life, right? So, but what I like about it is that you know it gives employees the freedom and a perspective to contribute to what they believe in, right? So Frappe has a set of core values. Frappe is a big proponent of open source, as most of us would know, and this culture kind of comes naturally, to Frappe. So it's not that our code is open source. I would say our culture is open source as well.
I come from a background wherein I've worked for companies which have like quite hierarchical and autocratic kind of setup, right, where decisions are shoved top to down, right. Here, I feel there is a stark difference. I think democracy is quite at the center of the culture, right. One person, one vote. That's how we work. That's how we operate on our regular decision-making processes, right? But every decision is taken keeping everyone's opinion, in consideration, right? The decision-making process is such that voting happens, and majority doesn't win always, right? If there is a sizable minority, we ensure that we talk to them, we ask them to express their opinions, and if they have like clear objections, we first take them away, right? Move it out of the way, and then take a revote to find out, whether we have a consensus now. And that I think is true democracy, right?
For me, yes, it was a culture shift. I wouldn't say culture shock because I like this culture, but it was a culture shift, and it took me a while to kind of get used to this. The best part that I liked after I've come in is the democracy part, where one person, one vote, and the way everything is brought to vote, and the buy-in that is taken from the entire organization. It is so very different from the traditional corporate that I've worked for, and it's such a fresh environment that you come to.
People have this wrong perception again that freedom is to do anything, everything. No, freedom means that you have the right to choose what you're good at. I've worked in multiple companies and come to an entity wherein freedom is defined more, equality, transparency, all are quite very well defined. All this time with MNCs, it was a very different story. We never knew our neighbors' pay scales, or probably any part of their personal life which attaches to your professional life, one or the other way. Gender, religion, caste, creed, sex, whatever it is. It's never been segregated, saying that here is what you have to do, and this is your only designated work, designated space. No, that's not the case. We can go, choose, pick, do whatever we want.
At least to me, right, just walking into the whole, working right fresh out of college, I got my first gig at Frappe. And the first notion is that it probably works like every other corporate office, because that's what offices and work is like. But here it just felt like, a group of friends in the start that sort of are just trusting each other with responsibilities and decisions, and they give each other equal opportunity to speak up. I mean, I never once felt that someone didn't let me speak or thought I was too inexperienced to comment on something. So that way I felt there was equality in terms of me expressing my opinions, even in terms of me choosing my work and getting any kind of work.
When I got to know the culture of Frappe, that's when I got to know that everyone has an equal vote. There is no hierarchy in the company, and everyone has the right to choose their own work. That actually made that allowed me to get a lot of creativity out of me. and actually could choose across domains, because of which I understood a lot of things and how the company actually works. So democracy for me actually works really well.
When I joined Frappe, I joined Frappe after looking at like the vision page and things like that. I didn't want like a job and I didn't get a job here. I mean, I don't know about equality, but what I would say that permeates Frappe is like freedom. And I mean, equality is there. There is, I have not seen any like signs of inequality. Equality feels like a background value sort of, it's kind of granted. My example is a good one of freedom, where I was allowed to switch my team to work on something that was just kept on the side, right? It's not only freedom, it's that people kind of egg you on to like, go and try other stuff, and they don't hold you back. And not only not hold you back, they don't stop you from trying other things.
Everybody has an opinion, and Frappe understands that. That to me is very fundamental, but is probably missing in a lot of other places. But it's quite fundamental in Frappe. So if I have an idea, right, I would just like in a working democracy, if you have an idea, you have to take it to the people, right? So you need a medium to communicate. How do you take an idea to the people? Right? So in Frappe, we have something like Game Plan, right? Game Plan is an online sort of a platform, forum, whatever, where people post their ideas, right? And it is the first step towards autonomy. By design, autonomy is built into Frappe's fiber, or its DNA, if you will. Autonomy leads to ideas, and the democracy sort of votes it in or votes it out. And more often than not, we have seen that the best ideas survive.
Everyone who works at Frappe represents Frappe equally. Be it the CEO, be it new fresher who's joining this. I work in sales. And even to buy tools or probably buy technologies that impact sales, I'll have to take a buy-in from everyone. Okay, it is slow. The process is slow, right? It slows me down, to be honest. But what it does is, it's not just my responsibility, right, to leverage that technology, because everybody had a buy-in, right? So everybody is responsible for it. So in that sense, you might call it chaotic, right? But chaos is sometimes a ladder, right? That's where you rise up and shine. If you take up responsibilities in a true democracy, you come out as a leader.
Our organization, our hierarchy just does not function like any other. We're a flat hierarchy, and that's very rare to see in the first place. And I think to drive that in a sane manner, you have to have transparency among people, because no one's monitoring you, no one's micromanaging you, like nothing like that. So how does one know whether, there is a trust factor among people that everyone will eventually do their job well. Here at least, right, at least in the engineering department, I can't speak for the rest, but we sort of have this one big dev team that has smaller products in them, or like smaller teams in them. So if you want someone to actually care about the product and where it's going, what it's doing, you have to somewhere coerce them to make their own decisions in a way where they feel completely responsible for their actions and the consequences that follow. So, that follows in life too, right? We don't want to create a culture where someone's just spoon feeding you things and you're just a code monkey doing things for the sake of it. So the whole point is ownership and taking responsibility.
Everyone actually does their own work, and if it's not done, it's actually been highlighted. And right now we have a performance committee who's actually reviewing the performance of every employee. So I think with the but it's not actually creating a hierarchy or a reporting manager, but it's a very democratic way of handling it. So that's a good objective, I feel, and I feel that I can take my own task, I can have my own objectives, and I will be accountable for whatever step I'm taking.
More than accountable, I think responsibility is the word, right? We don't hold people accountable. We want people to be responsible. And though accountability is, word of the day, it goes around, but I think the message is to be responsible, for your own good. And that's how Frappe has been driven, Something that I like is that there is immense potential of learning, knowing yourself, knowing your own potential, right? When you take up tasks and you deliver them, you might fail, but you learn something, right? You have lesser chance to fail the next time, right? So you try, and you are allowed to fail here, right? You can't be scared at Frappe. You're not scared at Frappe to experiment. And that's the beauty of it. That's the most, I would say the most favorite part of being at Frappe for me.
Being in Frappe especially, like not all corporates actually offer this. They actually tell you to just focus on your own work. Like if you are hired for some position, you do only that work. In my situation, it is not the same case. So it's actually enriching my knowledge about several domains. This company is actually helping me actually make a career path also.
What I like is definitely the amount of flexibility that an organization gives you, and I would say the good intent as well. Frappe kind of embodies a good human being. An organization that is a good human being. It doesn't tell us to do what is out of the world. It is just like be nice to each other, trust each other, put faith in your colleagues, trust their abilities.
If I was here like 30 years ago when I started my career, this would have been great. I mean, it's so nice to take up responsibilities. You have to drive your own stuff, whatever you want to do, whatever projects you want to take up, or whatever initiatives you want to drive, you can just go align with different teams and take it up. So if this was like 30 years ago when I was starting my career, I would have loved this.